Hi guys, this is Mattias, and I'm coming at you here with another H1Z1 video where I would like to address the issues with bugs, frustration from a lot of the players in the community, and the disappointment that a lot of players feel over the inability from Daybreak Game Company to deliver on promises, and why they, according to a lot of people, have such a hard time understanding priority. What you see here is a bug that I don't think I've come across before, but I killed this guy who might have been disconnected or something, but for whatever reason, there is no loot to be found, even though I saw he had a ghillie suit and at least one weapon. Now, during the alpha stage of a game's development, I think it's rather important with good communication between at least parts of the community and parts of the game development team. And from time to time, I get the impression that that is actually the case with H1Z1, the community, and Daybreak Game Company. Many times when you see the responses and the dialogues from some of the developers, it seems like they really care about the community, it seems like they're here listening, and sometimes I really do get the impression that we actually get through. And then some time passes by, you keep playing the game, and as you experience the same bugs over and over, you might have a little bit more understanding now that you actually got through to the devs. You have been reminded of the fact that this game is still in alpha, the game is under development, which means that a lot of bugs and frustrating issues is to be expected during this game's development called early access. Now, here's the thing though. In all honesty, I don't think that there are all that many players that actually agrees with the way I express this. Basically, every day when I check out the H1Z1 Reddit, I see yet even another rage post quite heavily upvoted about problems, bugs, irritation, frustration, and whatnot. So now, because I've been part of a lot of these discussions, and I've actually started quite a few of them myself, I've started to think more and more about what is actually alpha testing? What is associated with it? What should we expect from alpha testing? And what should the developers focus on during this stage of the game's development? After playing H1Z1 since launch of the early access, this is getting more and more confusing. And there is no denying that a lot of people feel like using the word alpha or using the word early access is a well thought out strategy to get away with not doing what needs to be done while they're focusing on something else. Now don't get me wrong, the majority of the time I'm having a blast playing H1Z1, and many times even for an extended period of time the game works well. It is also the knowledge that this game is under development and that there is further improvements and further content to be expected in the future. But the big problem is when you can clearly see that Daybreak Game Company is focusing on and spending a lot of time and resources on things that isn't really associated with early access or alpha. One of many Reddit posts that caught my attention was submitted by Nemesis a few days ago, and reading all the issues that's brought up in this post, it kind of reminded me of how much time basically all these bugs that he brings up has been in the game. And all of this while Daybreak Game Company is clearly spending a lot of time and valuable resources into things that isn't really associated with alpha or early access. It's also important to keep in mind that while a lot of people are looking forward to and hoping for new content, adding new content to a game that is already full of bugs and problems is very likely to add even more bugs and problems. And this is what a big part of the H1Z1 community is concerned about. And I quote, "Stop with the tournaments, stop with the crates, stop with the new features, new animations, new clothes, new map. Stop with anything that isn't you stabilizing and fixing the game. All you're doing by adding new material is breaking the game even more." So now whether or not you agree with this, there is a big point being made here. And I also want you to keep in mind something that I brought up quite a few times, is that adding new features, adding new content might actually diminish the value of the content that is already in the game.
Kill. Il va me tuer. Fils de pute!
Yeah, sorry buddy, but that was a little bit too late to pretend to be friendly. So now, after participating in the early access in the alpha development of H1Z1, sometimes I ask myself, what is the criteria for what is considered early access? What is the criteria for what is alpha compared to, I don't know, beta or finished product or whatever? So while making this video, I actually took the time to Google alpha testing in order to make sure that I didn't miss anything important and to avoid giving misleading information. And again, with what a lot of people are actually really angry about is the fact that there are so many things put into the game that doesn't really have a function, but is in there only for the purpose of making you buy it. A phrase that I've heard a lot lately is money grabbing. Now don't get me wrong, we all know that Daybreak Game Company is a company just like any other company and they have to make money. I don't see any reason why I need to elaborate on that. However, normally a company starts making money or starts selling their products when they are finished. And yes, I knew, just as everybody else, that when I made my purchase of H1Z1, the game was not finished. The game was in early access. And yes, I can understand that the line between alpha, beta, and finished product can be a little bit blurry, and there can be a little bit of crossover here and there. And with a lot of the things that a lot of people are quite angry about when it comes to this, how do I say it, things related to money grabbing, is something that Daybreak Game Company has been actually quite clear about, and that they did bring up long before Daybreak Game Company took over. But the concern, or should I say anger and frustration, is not really about whether Daybreak Game Company is selling a few skins or making a few new crates. It's the sheer amount of it, while plenty of big and game-breaking bugs is still in the game month after month after month without anything being done about it. Now, on a side note, I also want to bring something up that I just keep being reminded about when I read about the problems and issues and all that stuff on Reddit and all that, is that when Battle Royale players complain about all the problems with this game, and I think to myself, holy shit, if you were playing Survival rather than Battle Royale. Oh, did I say Survival and Battle Royale again? You know what I mean. Now, one of these issues that some people probably consider being fixed, while others consider still being a massive problem, is the performance in this game. And if you are a just survive player, then you probably have a very different opinion about this compared to somebody who plays King of the Kill. Now, there are a few things that is known to cause frame rate drops in H1Z1. One of them that I noticed was that whenever I opened the inventory and closed it again, the difference in frame rate was massive. From time to time, it seemed like my frame rate would drop to about half when I was running with the inventory open compared to when I closed it. So now if you are a Just Survive player and you've played this game long enough, then you've probably seen the massive increase in frame rate that happens when a server has been recently wiped, and that lasts for normally a couple of days. Same thing with the server wipe the 17th of February, but by now, a lot of communities are a lot faster with building up their bases again, so don't be surprised if you see your frames drop below 30 if it hasn't already started happening. Now, the list of problems can be made long, and many times it's really hard to make our voices heard, and especially make our voices heard to the right people. Now, what do you guys think about what I've brought up in this video? Do you agree with this being a problem? Do you think maybe I'm criticizing Daybreak Game Company a little bit too hard? Perhaps my criticism is a little bit premature? Or do you think maybe it's the other way around, and the way I express it doesn't really reflect how big the problem is? Whatever you think, please share it with me and the rest of the community. And for the rest of the video, I'm going to show you something that I actually, truly enjoy. Survival in Oh no, I said it again. Just survive in H1Z1. Alright guys, thank you for watching.